Welcome to a new daily top AskReddit video. Today's topic.
What's a secret that you think would shock everyone if it came out? I don't actually know what I am doing at work. I have no qualifications or previous work experience in the field. I just wing it every day and seem to get results. Edit, because so many of you are asking what my job is, I will tell you. I'm currently the operations manager at the biggest sawmill in the area. The only job I had before this was washing dishes at a care home. I didn't lie on my resume, I guess they just liked me. This is me. It stresses me out so much tbh. I got a position as a landscape manager, managing a landscape crew at a major resort in Hawaii. I have no idea what I'm doing and I hate it so much. I don't know how to quit and desperately don't want to go back to working in a restaurant. No prior landscape experience besides my own yard, and hardly any managing experience. They still hired me because they were desperate, and my mental health is taking a toll because I am worried every day that I forgot something or didn't do something correctly. Edit, thank you all for such kind and supportive comments, I truly appreciate them and used them as fuel to crush the day at work. To those of you who are telling me to quit because I'm blocking someone else's opportunity, no one wanted this job. I live on an island of 150,000 people and we just had a horrible natural disaster and national tragedy. We still have openings at other properties because no one wants to do these jobs. My bosses knew going in that I had zero experience, and they have tried to help the best they can, but some days I feel a bit lost. I answered the question because it would probably shock my friends and family that I don't really know what I'm doing on a commercial landscape scale. I'm still learning, and trying hard. Just remember they don't really know what you're supposed to do, either. Talk confidently, Google things, and maybe take some management classes from Coursera. The worst thing that can happen is you'll get fired. Don't let imposter syndrome get to you, you're obviously doing something right. Oh no, I am an imposter. Faked having qualifications and even straight up lied the entire interview. Worked like a charm. Sure, I'm good at what I'm doing, but normally I'd have had no business being where I am. How many well-respected people are sexual predators? The best boss I ever worked for ended up being a pedophile. He was arrested leaving for work one morning. Charged with possession of child abuse material and a few other things. It was a big police operation where they arrested multiple people, made the news and everything. If you met him you'd never guess it, he was such a good guy, until we found out he wasn't. I'll never forget the pure awkwardness and shock of the company-wide meeting when the owner had to explain the situation of why he didn't come into work that morning. I went to high school and the yearbook photographer was also my trig teacher. I was a junior, I believe. He was a gruff dude and acted like he didn't care about any of us, but I sent him an email one day telling him that the way he'd hit the board table with his ruler every day scared me because of the sound, and even though he never acknowledged or replied to my email, he never did it again. He was like the school's collective cool dad, and kids would call him by his first name, and the school loved him. At one point I had bleeding issues, nosebleed, and he was concerned because I'd suddenly run out of class holding my face and had been in the bathroom right across from his room for a while, so he called the nurse to come check on me. A couple years after I graduated he was arrested on school grounds at the end of a school day, heard through some of my younger band friends I didn't really keep up with, but small town drama is small town drama. Turns out that bathroom where I had that nosebleed, he'd hidden cameras in it. In the stalls. I don't know what happened to him, but I can only assume he went to jail. I wish I could say that was the only pedophile at that school, but he wasn't even the worst one. Just the one none of us clocked ahead of time. Edit, I cannot believe I have to say this, but CP apologists can get the hell out of here. Just because he never physically hurt anyone does not mean this was okay or not bad somehow. I likely have pictures of my genitals on the internet somewhere because of this man. My friends likely have pictures of their genitals on the internet somewhere because of this man. Child pornography has victims. Possession of child pornography creates demand and perpetuates child abuse. Kindly fuck off with that, oh he's not all bad, and, oh it's different if they didn't create it themselves, shit. It's child abuse. Period. I didn't pass my exam, and I no longer have my scholarship. But I'm working to pay my tuition. Loudly crying bro. Bro just made us cry loudly crying. You're in a pyramid scheme, Kathy. You don't own a business. Pikachu face intensifies. Epstein Island footage. Victims testified that Epstein recorded 100% of his properties, even bathrooms. The FBI raided Epstein's properties and took the surveillance footage. The FBI has video evidence of crimes against children, but they refuse to prosecute because the criminals have money. Epstein's clients have been paying well-dressed groomers to approach our children in public for decades, and they will continue. The victims are real children with real families and they matter. Never let this story die. Epstein recorded 100% of his properties, even bathrooms. Did he too? Reportedly. 4 out of 5 dentists don't recommend Trident. I don't know a brand called Trident, so now I'm just imagining people trying to brush their teeth with an actual 3-toothed fork. It's a US chewing gum brand, but I like your idea better. Some elected presidents and world leaders were actually gay, and their first lady and children were orchestrated for public image. Looking at you, James Buchanan. James Buchanan didn't even bother with a wife and children. This is humanity attempt number 23. We usually only make it to 1990, so this run is doing well. So we've got another one, sending agents now. Platypus secret agent sounds. 19 was an absolute blast. Gandhi dropping the nukes was quite a twist. On San Marino of all countries as well. The sexual desires of the people around you. All the random guys that like feet or want to be dominated. All the women that regularly watch CNC content on Pornhub. All the straight married dudes that watch gay porn. All the straight women who fantasize about their stepdad. Everyone is weird. CNC, how many women are into computer-controlled milling? I'd like to meet these women. I'm a straight woman who works in machining. You don't want to meet women like me, no one does. That no one is in control. This is so true, yet very few people realize it. Everyone in power is kinda just winging it. Acting in their own self-interest, dealing with each issue as it comes. There's no big plan, no master framework, just a bunch of people like you and I, getting on with their lives, possibly a little concerned they may get found out at some point, and no one knows how it all works, only that it does, so long as each group does what it's meant to be doing. And if you've ever worked in government or military, or other public body, you realize how ridiculous the notion of grand conspiracy theories are, and the chance that anything like that could ever be kept secret for 5 minutes is laughable at best. Edit, a lot of replies keep shouting, Epstein, and so on, but have missed a key word. I said, grand conspiracies. Of course, conspiracies have genuinely happened before, but grand conspiracies like lizard people, flat earth, Illuminati blah blah blah, the level of mental gymnastics you have to reach to believe these is astounding. As many others have said, before doing that oh so human thing of spotting patterns in the noise and screaming, conspiracy, consider incompetence and human error before clasping at wild conclusions, as those are far more likely causes in the huge majority of cases. I never turned in my 4th grade writing assignment. I just stuffed it in my desk incomplete and ignored it. The teacher never said anything. I'm 38 and I think about that way too much. I once convinced a teacher she lost my book report that was due in the final week of the school year. She gave me a B+ on it, which kept my A in the class, and we all moved on. I was a good student, she liked me, she knew I was working on the report, and when she told me I hadn't turned it in she trusted me when I said I had. The next day she told me she found it and had graded it. At the end of the summer when I was getting ready for the next school year, I found the report in the back of my binder. I had done it, and I probably would have gotten the grade she gave me, but I somehow misplaced it and thought I had turned it in. I was so torn on what to do. I felt like I should tell her, but I also felt like she'd get in way more trouble than I would for just making up that she found it. I kept my mouth shut and never told anyone. I'm 34 and I also think about this all the damn time. I felt like I should tell her, but I also felt like she'd get in way more trouble than I would for just making up that she found it. I kept my mouth shut and never told anyone. Great lesson to learn so early, actually. The amount of information that our own United States government tracks and keeps of us forever. Edit, since for whatever reason this has high visibility and people don't agree with this statement, read this Wikipedia article. https://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/utah_data_center. I'll try and make this as short as possible, but this is very scary. When I was a teenager I was kind of a punk and I would get into legal trouble often. I would go see a counselor weekly who happened to be really good friends with the head of all juvenile punishment in my county. One day in his office I was calling him out on his BS after he told me he could find out anything about me if he wanted to. To prove to me he wasn't lying he called that guy, and told me to stay quiet, so it seemed like nobody was in the room with my counselor. First thing he said was, "Hey, can you tell me how much you know about blank?" Without hesitation the guy started listing off all my friends, where I lived, my nicknames, where I spend my time during the week and even on the weekend, what websites I visit, where Elle went to school and where I was even planning on going to school. Literally anything and everything was available. After my counselor got off the phone he looked at me like, "See?" He continued to tell me there's something called a databank and it collects info on every person in the country. No matter how good you think you are at hiding illegal shit, you will be compromised eventually. Or there's a good chance the police already know who you are and what you do, they are just waiting to bust you. There is no such thing as true privacy anymore. Scary stuff, man. I wonder how it is here in Europe regarding privacy stuff like that. I'd like to think they don't know shit except what IPS sees on your internet browsing stuff. Just because they have data doesn't mean they know what to do with it or what it means. There also becomes a point where the dataset is so large it becomes unmanageable. For example, I worked for a mail service pharmacy. As part of that, we distributed C2 medications and had to report. We were also internally flagging pill farms and reporting those as well. D raids us one day. D had no idea how a mail service pharmacy worked. They thought we were a pill farm. We ended up teaching the D how to read the reports we are mandated to send them. We spent a few years on a data project all about pharmacy data, especially with C2s. Few years later, some major indictments happen, including Purdue. It tends to be a case of where information is collected as a rainy day thing. No one's looking at it or doing anything with it until some event happens involving you, and then that data could be useful to build a case. That doesn't, however, absolve the invasion of privacy. Just because they might never use your data doesn't mean they should have it at all. I think we would be even more surprised how much Google or Facebook have. I would wager it's an order of magnitude more in volume, but also of much higher quality. And it's all for sale. While it is anonymized, it only takes 2 or 3 identifiers to narrow the information down to an individual.